we are with another plane video model that I built, a Cobi FW190A3 with a pretty cool pilot figure. And the instructions are fairly simple. You just take your time with them, as I'm finding. And the result of all that was this. Probably one of the best planes that they've come out with lately. I did a little modification. You always get extra parts. Well, I had extra pieces that I added that were not here. On the actual model, it stopped and this was kind of exposed, looking like, well, I took the extra pieces that I had, added them, and kind of made it look even more sleeker. It has retractable landing gear with a drop tank, and the pilot does come out. This was a very advanced aircraft. It's radial engine, so it's air cooled. Air comes into the exposed cylinders. It's a twin roll of cylinders, 14 cylinder, I believe. Let me check just to be sure. And yes, so 7 and 7. 7 cylinders, 7 cylinders. It had 4 20mm cannon, 2 in each wing, and 2 7.92mm machine guns in the nose. This plane, when it came out in 1941, was an extremely scary plane to fly against. Reason being, it was an extremely fast plane. I went and did a little bit of deeper research of this plane, and this plane's top speed is 410 miles an hour, top ceiling of 35,000 feet, and that's where it gets its top speed, closer to top of range. At about 20,000 feet, it'll do like 391 miles an hour. So it's an extremely fast plane. It accelerates really fast. It dives really well. It's actually very well built. There's a lot of electrical components, a lot of electrical submotors. The landing gear was electrically controlled. And this plane was designed to also work off of bad airfields. The Me-109, which was a main German fighter plane, and the Spitfire were like fancy race cars. This plane wanted a pit bull dog. It's kind of even built like one. It's built to go in, fight, overwhelm, dominate, and control. And that's what it did. And it's air cooled, so it could take a lot of punishment. There is no radiator. There's oil coolers that help cool down. But I mean, nothing like you blow out a radiator, you kill the plane. This plane's #1 opponent during this time, 1941, was this plane, the Spitfire Mark V. A very nice plane, very beautiful plane, but it had some drawbacks. It had a single-stage supercharger, mechanically actuated, which means it could not really climb fast at a high rate. The top speed of this plane is 375 miles an hour, 20,000 feet, where this one is doing 391 miles an hour. And both of these planes were in combat and in dogfights, the FW190 and the Spitfire. The thing that made them bad was this plane maxes out at 375. This plane climbs to a higher altitude, 410. So this plane had better maneuverability. This plane had better climbing and diving ability. It had a stronger armament. The Spitfire only had 2 30 cal machine guns on each wing and 2 20mm cannon. And the only way this plane could survive this plane is in a slow dogfight of maneuver, where this plane, the Spitfire, could outturn the Focke-Wulf. And that's the only way they could survive. And by doing that, you had to have pilots of very high quality. For a while, until the Spitfire Mark IX came out, the flights over France were stopped because the 190 was knocking them out and causing a lot of mayhem. This plane basically came about as a way to give the pilot a good plane, a comfortable plane, dependable, and not old technology. This one utilizes electrical systems to help the plane on the flaps
So a lot of things that were hydraulic or stiff that would be on the other planes, not on this. This plane also could dive bomb. It could ground attack. This radial engine can take a lot of punishment. And as far as what this plane could do in the air, I mean, the only drawback of this plane is higher altitudes because it has a single stage supercharger also, but it's a radial engine. It's a little bit different than the inline engine. So the inline trying to go and get to that point can overheat and stuff, and just like a car with this baby, as long as you have a good flow of air coming in, handle it and give you a little bit better accounting of itself. This plane also had wide track landing gear, which I'm going to demonstrate right here. They folded outwards so that when the plane landed, I could land nice, decently without throwing the pilot. The ME-109 and the Spitfire, by the other hand, had this kind of landing gear that retracted inward, leading a very narrow track. And these planes could crack up on landing, especially with the tail dragging tail wheel like that. That being said, the economy, efficiency, and aerodynamics of this plane, the FW-190, made it an incredible plane. Some say this is the best piston engine fighter of World War II. I think the P-47 a little bit better, especially when they lightened it up, made it faster. But for like German planes, yeah, I say this would probably be the best plane they had. Better than the ME-109, even better than the early jets, because this baby was dependable. It was there, it could jump off, it could fly off of bad airfields, and it was pretty potent. And it's nice to see, like, if you look, there's videos of this plane, actual plane, the controls and stuff. I mean, pretty advanced for 1941-42 compared to what it had in its other planes that were like its stablemates in the Luftwaffe and the opponents on the other side. And you gotta admit, this thing was really designed nice. I mean, they utilized it to make it as aerodynamic as possible. And the thing was, European planes didn't like radial engines. The United States Navy was using them throughout the 1920s, 1930s, and then the radial engine naval planes. And that's why the Germans went for this. Kurt Tank, who designed this plane, went for the BMW 801C2 twin-row 14-cylinder radial air-cooled engine, which is in there. Sounds really complex, but not. Easier to service by less experienced repair crews. Quicker to be able to do whatever you had to do, put it back and let it get up and fly. Problem was they didn't make enough of these. I think if they would have made more of these and they had a long engine inline version and just kind of like stayed away from the ME-109, they would have had a good, decent fighter plane that could have stayed up, and who knows, they had enough of them, maybe the war would have lasted longer and it cost more lives and equipment to end it. But a shout out for this plane as far as design and also how well it performed. And when it did come out, it was a scary plane. Frightened away a lot of pilots when they realized how difficult of prey it was in a dogfight. Um, Recommendation wise, I think their models keep getting better, is one of the best. I had fun building it. It's held together well. I take it out and look at it and stuff because I like looking at it in comparison to its peers at the time, which was like the Spitfire. But the reason I brought the Spitfire out, even though this was a video on this plane, was that plane, the Mark V, and this baby were opponents. They would face each other in dogfight. That's about all I have to say about this. I would definitely recommend getting this as far as a kit. I've got a few more I'm going to build. I have a few more videos coming up. I apologize for the lack of time. But yeah, if you could find this in the store or off Amazon, probably around $50, maybe a little bit less, I would definitely suggest it. And if it were your first kit, it would do you justice because the detail is really good. I have a collectible, not die-cast, plastic version of this. The detail in this one is pretty good. I mean, they're both pretty close. This one you can manhandle and mess with. The other one's frail and you're afraid it would fall apart if you breathe on it the wrong way. But the Cobi kits are very, very durable. But yeah, I mean, this one,
definitely would give this 5 stars and recommend. If you see this one on Amazon and you're interested, buy this one for your first model. You won't regret it and you'll enjoy it. Once again, that's all I have for this. I'll have more stuff coming up, and then eventually I want to have a specific kind of a video. I'm going to use a camera and kind of play with it because I want to show this plane, maybe a Panther tank versus a P-39Q and a T-34-85 to kind of show you how on the Russian front Germans and Soviets fared as far as equipment, how the equipment was used as best as I can without making a fool of myself or confusing. That's about it, and hopefully I'll have another video up soon. Thank you for watching.